Hello everyone, how are you? Hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to be talking about how to factor polynomials. So I'm going to start with a simple example and then I'm going to move my way up to a more complicated one. And please don't get down on yourself if you can't figure these out right away. It takes time, it takes a lot of practice. You might even have to use a calculator to find some things, but you will get the hang of it. So we're going to start with an easy example, and I'm going to explain it in the best way possible. So we have an x squared plus 5x plus 6. So your first step will be just to write your two parentheses, because when you're factoring a polynomial, you're always going to end up with two sets of parentheses, sometimes even more, but in this example there are just two. So first step, just write your parentheses. Your second step is to just simply look at this first term and think what times what will give me x squared. Now, off the top of my head, I know that x times x is the only solution that will give us x squared when multiplied. So I know it is an x and an x. And I know to put that there because this, when we factor polynomials, pretty much it is reverse FOIL. So when we're given parentheses and we're giving x plus 3 and x plus 4, when we FOIL, so we do the first times the first, which is x squared, for the outer, which is x and 4, which gives us 4x when multiplied, inner, which is 3 times x, which is positive 3x, and last, which is 3 times 4, which is positive 12. You see, we were given the parentheses and came up with the polynomial. But in this case, we are given a polynomial, and we have to come up with the parentheses. So I know that to find my x squared, the first step is FOIL, and FOIL is first multiply the two first terms, which gives us this. So I know it is x and x, which gives us the x squared. So anytime you see an x squared there, just hurry up, write your x's down, because you know they're always going to start off that way if it is an x squared right there. So the next step is to look at this number. So we're just going to look purely at the 6. And we're going to think, what times what can give us that positive 6? And then we just write down everything that we can think of. So in this case, I can think of 1 times 6. I can think of 2 times 3. And that is all. Those are the only multiples of 6. So after you get your two answers, two sets of numbers, this is the next step. You have to think which of these, when added together, could give us positive 5. So now we are looking at this number. We found our multiples, we're done with this 6. But now we have to think which of these groups could be added together to give us this positive 5. So what plus what can give us positive 5 now? So 1 plus 6 is 7. So I know that's wrong. That did not give us our positive 5. 2 plus 3, on the other hand, does give us a positive 5. So we know that that is our answer. And all we have to do is plug in a positive 2 and a positive 3 into our equation. Positive 2, positive 3. So we did find a solution, but we have to make sure that we're right. So if you're unsure, this is a way to test it out. You're going to check your answer by using FOIL. So we're going to take what we got, which is x plus 2 and x plus 3, and FOIL it out. So our first step is to multiply the two first terms, x and x, which is x squared, outer x and 3, which is positive 3, and we're multiplying, 2 times x, which is the inner I, 2 times x, is positive 2x, and positive 2 times positive 3 is positive 6. And then our next step would be to add any like terms. So we can see from here there's a 3x and a 2x. Those can be added together because they have the same variable, which is just one singular x. So we can do, so we have our x squared, positive 3x plus 2x is positive 5x, and then we keep our positive 6. And then from that, after we FOILed the two that we are trying out, we see that it equals exactly what we started with. So we know that this is the right solution. So that's our first example. Now I'm going to do a second example. We're going to start with x squared minus 5x minus 36. So like I said, you draw your two sets of parentheses right off the bat. And then we know that x times x is x squared, which is the first step of the FOIL method. X times x is x squared. So we know to put our two x's down. So then now we're going to look at our negative 36. And we're going to think to ourselves, what times what equals negative 36? Now this is where it gets a little bit confusing, but you just have to bear with me. Since we have a negative number, we know that one number is going to be negative and one's going to be positive, because a negative number times a positive number will give us a negative number, and that is the only way to get a negative number when multiplying. So thinking of multiples of 36, I can think of 1 and 36. I can think of 2 and 18. And you may have to use a calculator, so you could just do 36 divided by 2 is 18. 36 divided by 3 would give us 12. And then we could get a 4 and a 9. We can get a 6 and a 6, and it stops there. So now you see we have a lot more options than our last problem, because we only had 2 options with the last problem. Now we have 5. So then this is where we have to think, which of these, when added together, and one number will have to be negative and one positive, could give us a negative 5. So what plus what could give us our negative 5 from over here? So you have to think to yourself, can a 1 and a 36 ever equal a negative 5? I know that if we made the 1 the negative plus 36, that would end up being positive 35. And reverse, if we did the negative 36 plus 1, it would be negative 35. Or I'm sorry, positive 36 minus 1 would give us positive 35. That could never equal a 5. So we know that that one is not an option. A 2 and an 18. You know 18 plus 2 is 20. You know 18 minus 2 is 16. That could never give us a 5 either. So you just go down the line, and normally you can just look at them and know, could these ever equal a 5? You know, 12 and a 3 could never equal a 5 added together. And then you have a 4 and a 9. So I think to myself, okay, 9 minus 4 can give me a 5, but we're looking for a negative 5. So we'd have to try that out and figure out what order to put these in, which one is the negative number and which is the positive that could give us that negative 5. And then we know a 6 and a 6 could never equal a 5. So that's our only option. But then you just have to think to yourself, do I make the 4 the negative number, or do I make the 9 the negative number? So we just try out both options. Negative 4 plus 9, and then we'll do positive 4 minus 9 and see which one could give us that negative 5. So we know negative 4 plus 9 would give us a positive 5, but we're looking for a negative 5, so we cannot use that. Positive 4 minus 9, on the other hand, gives us our negative 5 that we are looking for. So we know that that is the right numbers to pick, positive 4 and negative 9. And like I said, if you're feeling like, I don't know if I did that right, then all you have to do is take what you got. So we're going to take it and test it with FOIL. So I'm going to do x plus 4 and x minus 9, and I'm going to FOIL it out. So the first step, multiply the two first terms, x and x squared. I'm going to multiply the two outer terms, which is x and negative 9. Negative 9 times x is negative 9x. Then inner, I'm going to multiply the 4 and the x, which gives me a positive 4x. And then last, I'm going to multiply the two last terms of each set of parentheses. 4 times negative 9 gives us negative 36. And then add any like terms. So we see that these both end with the variable x, so we can add them together. X squared, we keep that the same, but minus 9x plus 4x, negative 9x plus 4x will give us a negative 5x, and then our negative 36 tags along. So this is what we got when we tried out our answer, and we see that that is the exact same thing that we started with. X squared minus 5x minus 36. And this was our original problem, x squared minus 5x minus 36. So we know that our x plus 4 and our x minus 9 is the right option. So I hope that I made that easy for you guys. Like I said, don't get down on yourself if it takes you some time to do one problem, because it took me a lot of practice to be able to look at these and know what the right answer is. You just have to practice. You know, even after doing an assignment for school, maybe sit down and look up some practice examples or practice problems and do them yourself and see if you can get the right answers. And after some practice, you will definitely feel a lot better at these problems. So that is how you factor polynomials. If you have any questions or concerns, then just comment below. If you have any other questions that have to do with factoring polynomials, just comment below and I will make a new video on how to thoroughly explain that. These are just the two examples I wanted to show that could give you a grasp on what factoring a polynomial consists of. So, like I said, if you have anything that you wanted to add or see, then just comment below and I will get to you as soon as possible and I will make it easy for you. Thanks for watching.